Have you ever wondered, in 1958, a year of big changes for the American auto industry, which car truly reflected the everyday life of ordinary people? It was not the flashy Impala, nor the stylish Bel Air, but the Chevrolet Delray. The Delray was never meant to steal the spotlight. It was not a luxury icon or a cover star on glossy magazines. Yet for thousands of working-class families, for taxi companies, and even for police patrol fleets, the Delray was the reliable companion they could count on. A simple, durable car, powerful enough to handle daily work, yet surprisingly versatile if you knew how to use it. So, what made an economy car like the Delray so memorable? And why is it still sought after by collectors today? By the late 1950s, America was in a period of transition. After the brief recession of 1957, demand for cars remained strong, but families and businesses were far more cautious with their spending. Working-class Americans still needed reliable transportation, and service fleets like taxis and police departments required new vehicles, but budgets were tight. Chevrolet faced a difficult challenge: how to maintain its reputation while also serving the most budget-conscious buyers. The company's answer was to clearly stratify its lineup. For 1958, Chevrolet introduced an all-new range, following the longer, lower, wider design trend, while also sharpening the hierarchy among its models. The Impala was elevated as the premium line. The Bel Air remained mid-market. The Biscayne targeted mainstream families, and the Delray, sitting at the very bottom, became the most economical path to owning a Chevrolet. Thus, the Delray held a very specific role, not to dazzle or impress, but to fill a gap in the market for buyers who still wanted a Chevrolet nameplate, but at the lowest possible cost. Across Chevrolet's 1958 lineup, the most striking common trait was the new, longer, lower, wider look. It was also the first year Chevrolet used the X-frame chassis, which allowed a lower floor and sleeker proportions without sacrificing rigidity. Thanks to this, even the entry-level Delray had the same modern stance as the Impala or Bel Air. But instead of piling on chrome, moldings, and decorative touches, the Delray embraced restraint. Up front, the car featured a wide horizontal grille with a clean, unadorned design. The bumpers were plated in chrome, only where necessary. The dual headlamps, newly legalized in the US, kept the Delray in step with the times, but without giving it an extravagant face. Along the sides, Chevrolet stripped away almost all trim, leaving smooth, plain panels. This gave the Delray a tidy and uncluttered profile compared to its siblings. At the rear, it avoided the soaring fins seen on Cadillacs or Plymouths of the same era, settling instead for a flat deck with Chevrolet's signature dual-round taillights. This exterior made the Delray the most approachable Chevrolet of 1958. Buyers could still enjoy a car that looked modern and fashionable, yet they didn't have to pay extra for features that were purely ornamental. And once you stepped inside the cabin, that philosophy became even clearer. The Delray's interior was built around thrift and utility. The front bench seat stretched across the cabin, upholstered in plain cloth or vinyl, usually in solid colors with minimal patterns. Door panels and the dashboard relied on basic materials, with chrome and decorative accents kept to a minimum. The instrument cluster showed only the essentials: speed, fuel, and a few knobs for lights and wipers. Chevrolet also pared down amenities that most American cars of the time included by default. A radio, a heater, even ashtrays were pushed onto the options list. Buyers could add them if they wished, but most accepted the simplicity, knowing it meant lower costs and fewer mechanical issues in the long run. In return, The Delray offered generous space thanks to the new X-frame chassis. While far from luxurious, it could comfortably seat a family, with a full-width rear bench that accommodated 3 adults. This practicality made the Delray less of a style statement and more of a dependable tool for everyday use. This stripped-down interior highlighted one truth: Delray buyers weren't chasing luxury. They wanted durability, usability, and value. And to meet those varied needs, Chevrolet made sure to offer multiple engine configurations under the hood. At its most basic, the Delray carried the Blue Flame 235 cubic inch inline-six. Producing around 145 horsepower, it was never about speed, but about durability. Smooth at low revs, economical on fuel, and easy to service, it was ideal for taxis, police cars, and families who simply wanted a car that just worked. Driving it meant predictability and stability, the qualities most valued in tough economic times. But step up to the 283 CID V8, and the Delray's character shifted dramatically, with outputs ranging from 185 to over 220 horsepower, plus the availability of the advanced Rochester ramjet fuel injection system. The car felt livelier and more capable. Passing on the highway became easier, throttle response sharper, and the Delray suddenly felt far more than an entry-level car. For many, this was the sweet spot: affordable yet spirited enough to satisfy. The top-tier option was the brand-new 348 cubic inch turbo-thrust 5.8, delivering between 250 and 280 horsepower, and available with the tri-power setup of 3 two-barrel carburetors. It transformed the Delray into a true sleeper. Outwardly plain, devoid of excessive chrome, yet shockingly powerful when pushed, the 348-powered Delray could rival performance cars of its day. Driving one meant discovering speed and acceleration in a package that few would expect. Transmission choices expanded this flexibility further. The standard 3-speed manual could be swapped for a 4-speed manual or the 2-speed Powerglide automatic. These options meant the Delray could be tuned for workhorse duty or tailored for a driver seeking excitement. Of course, performance wasn't only about engines. The all-new X-frame chassis and coil spring suspension at all 4 corners reshaped the driving experience. The lower stance gave the Delray better handling in corners, less body roll, and greater comfort on long journeys. For the more powerful V8 models, the X-frame added crucial stability at speed, ensuring the Delray could handle its hidden muscle safely. Together, these elements created a paradox. The Delray was both Chevrolet's most modest car and, in the right form, one of its most capable. More importantly, this variety allowed the Delray to appeal to a wide spectrum of buyers. The primary customer group was working-class families. They needed a car that was roomy, durable, affordable, and easy to maintain. With the standard i6 engine, the Delray fit perfectly, a practical, budget-conscious vehicle that still carried Chevrolet's trusted name. The second group was service fleets. Taxis, police departments, and small transport companies chose the Delray for its reliability. With low purchase costs, the ability to run continuously, and minimal breakdowns, it became an ideal workhorse for daily use. Finally, a smaller but notable group saw something else in the Delray: sleeper car potential. With the optional 283 or 348 V8, enthusiasts could transform it into a surprisingly powerful machine, all while maintaining a plain, inconspicuous exterior. This gave the Delray a unique place among car enthusiasts, even if that wasn't its original intention. In the American market of 1958, where buyers were splitting between practical models and flashy status symbols, the Delray played a crucial role. It anchored Chevrolet in the lowest tier of the market while still retaining enough appeal not to be dismissed. The company sold over 1.2 million cars that year, but most of the spotlight went to the Bel Air and the newly introduced Impala, which quickly became a style icon. The Delray, while contributing respectably, accounted for a smaller share of the lineup. The reason lay in its positioning. Buyers with more means were often willing to spend a little extra for a Biscayne or Bel Air with their chrome accents and flashier trims. Meanwhile, Delray's typical customers tended to stick with the base EI6, which generated less profit per unit. In other words, the Delray was not a record-breaking seller, but it secured Chevrolet's foothold at the entry level of the market. More importantly, the Delray showcased the strength of Chevrolet's tiered strategy. It proved the company could serve every type of buyer, from the most budget-conscious to those seeking style. The Delray was like a foundation stone, not glamorous, but essential to keeping Chevrolet's house solid. Though less celebrated than the Impala or Bel Air, the Delray played a vital role in preserving market share and keeping Chevrolet on top of the US sales charts. This widespread presence made the Delray part of the collective memory, especially for the working class. For many, it was not just the family car, but also a symbol of thrift and hard work. Police forces and public services frequently used Delrays as well, reinforcing its image as a community car more than any other Chevrolet of its era. In popular culture, the Delray never shone like the Bel Air or Impala, but it was remembered as a truly everyman's car. In short, the Delray became a mirror of real life for millions of families, far removed from the stage lights other cars chased. On today's classic car market, the 1958 Chevrolet Delray is considered one of the more intriguing collectibles, not because it was ever a style leader, but because of its rarity. Most Delrays were used hard as taxis, police vehicles, or working-class family cars, leaving very few survivors. This scarcity makes the Delray a curiosity for collectors. While its average values sit below those of the Impala or Bel Air, that very distinction attracts enthusiasts who prefer something offbeat. A well-restored six-cylinder Delray usually ranges from $20,000 to $30,000, while V8-equipped cars, especially the 348 Tri-Power, can command over $50,000 at auction. What captivates buyers is the contrast. The Delray's plain, understated exterior hides the potential for serious performance in the right configuration. That dual identity has become its charm, marking it as a true sleeper car in the eyes of many collectors. Another factor is authenticity. Because few Delrays were ever restored to show car standards, most survivors retain their original character. For enthusiasts, that honesty is more appealing than a heavily polished restoration. It makes the Delray stand out as an unpretentious piece of Chevrolet history. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever seen or ridden in a Delray? How would you feel owning a car that once served as basic transportation but is now considered a rare collectible? Share your stories and memories in the comments. I can't wait to read them. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed learning about the Delray and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more fascinating classic car stories. If you want others to discover this hidden piece of Chevrolet history, share the video with friends or fellow enthusiasts. Your support helps keep this community alive and ensures these timeless stories continue to be told.